Hello viewers, Timple here, and I'm with a familiar face, David Natroshvili, CEO, founder, Aviator. David, thanks for joining us, as always.
Thanks for having me, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, this is the final of our three-part series. We've talked a lot about Aviator this year, in the past. We want to talk about the future. We want to talk about different kind of leadership strategies. We want to make things interesting.
Sure.
So I want to start with, as the leader of SPRIBE, of Aviator, has your leadership ethos, how you lead, has it changed from when you started out? You talked about, going around London pitching this idea to people, to now where the company is at the moment.
Yes, it's a great question. Yeah, usually, like when you are a small startup, I mean, it's first of all, it's very difficult because more than 95% startups fail, and it's very hard for the founders to realize whether you're chasing a great dream or it should fail, and it's maybe easier when you're a bigger company now, to talk from the bigger company perspective. But when you're a small company, you're sitting in a semi-basement in Kiev, Ukraine. It's very hard, to believe for yourself and for your team that they should follow you and believe you also, that they're not wasting their time, right? I mean, this is very difficult, but if you have a great idea, you believe in yourself, of course, you have to believe it and you have to keep going, like we did basically, because again, 6 years ago, we were a small startup sitting in the basement in Kiev. People know this story, and now we are one of the biggest companies in iGaming, and we're growing. So going back to your question, I think the good leader is the leader that feels the energy in the company, that you can become a big company, but as Steve Jobs always would like to say, that Apple was operating as a startup, because even it's a big company, they didn't have any commissions or any big meetings. Like, that's what I'm trying to do in SPRIBE. I'm trying to keep it real, be in the game, know what I'm doing, know what my team is doing, and not lose the touch with reality. Because sometimes when you have too much success, then you think that you are great, and you lose the touch with reality. So I think the biggest thing is not to lose touch with the reality, and be very accessible to your team.
In terms of management and leadership, how do you deal with, let's say, disagreement? Because even in the most efficient company in the world, two people are never going to have the exact same opinion. Have you ever had any strategic meetings where you've gone one way and someone else has thought, that's not what I would do? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because we have these agreements, obviously, because in my level of management at SPRIBE, we have a horizontal way of management. I try to keep it as open as possible. Anyone can approach me. Any employee can say what they think. And with C-levels, I'm on the par. I'm not like, I'm your boss, and but make no mistake that you as a leader, me in this case, you have to be able to say in the moments that, you make a decision, it's your responsibility, and you guys do what I say. It happens also because, and sometimes I said, listen, didn't we achieve the tremendous success under my leadership? Right? I mean, so do what I say. Sometimes it works because I see sometimes, team, they want to do good, but people not very much risk takers sometimes, like, for example, especially, let's say, I don't know, like good managers, they're not the risk takers, and they think, to mitigate risk is a good solution. But of course it's a good solution, but sometimes you have to go crazy. Sometimes you have to go, take bold risks, take bold decisions, and that's how we win. Because if you don't take risks, we know you're not going to make big companies. So in short, we have very open management with the C-levels. We talk. I always want to hear, because we hire people not because I tell them what to do. This is the wrong, because we hire people so they tell me what to do. Things that I don't know, we hire people for that. We have people in team to tell us what to do. So this is my it's a balance. But sometimes, yes, you have to say that you make a decision, and we have to go this way.
Yeah. You mentioned hiring. In terms of recruitment, what is your, we can get more specific, but what is your broad strategy? I mean, something that I've been what people have said to me in the past is sometimes you want to hire someone who you think is better than you because they can be the future kind of thing.
Yes, I agree with you. Like always, you try to hire people better than you because this is the whole idea of hiring. The biggest leader, I think, in any business is the person who can bring the great team. If you can recruit, you can motivate, you can sell the idea of your company, of your business, of your concept, of your life, if you will, because company is not like just company and your life is here. There is no work and life balance. There is no. I don't believe in the work and life balance. Like you have to, your work, what you do is part of your life. So you bring the best team what you can. The biggest decision, right decision as a leader for me is always to find the recruit the talent that can bring the company up. And now going back to the experience, one more thing I want to mention that I look at the experience of the person. Of course, I'm very interested what the person have done till now, but I'd rather hire someone fresh without experience, but was eager to learn and hungry than some like, I don't know, like 50 years old, extra vice president of some bank who is tired and whatever, 50. I don't have anything against, I'm 50 myself. I'm just saying tired person who is, been there, had huge, experience, but he doesn't want to learn. So I look at the people's not more like education or experience, of course, is very interesting, but it's more like how they want to learn, how they want to grow, and what they want to do. And if they want to learn, I believe you can learn anything. Right nowadays, it's so much information out there. You have YouTube, you have so much sources. You can learn anything, and especially if you want to learn. So for me, I always look at the being person to being hungry, being of course talented, and wanting to learn. So
I'm going to give you what I think is a common scenario in recruitment and employment. As a leader, what do you do when someone interviews really well? They say all the right things, they get the job, and then you discover that they're not terrible. So there's no reason to, let's say, lose them straight away. But they're not quite the candidate that they showed themselves to be in the interview. They're kind of maybe what you describe as someone who a little bit tired, just getting by. What do you do in that situation? Because that can be tricky.
Yeah, it can be. Because like in general, I think for a good leader, like especially when you get the success, people think, oh, I'm so great, I'm smart, look at me, I achieved so much. And then you lose the sense of the, reality. And you think, oh, I'm so great, I'm such a great psychologist, I can, see through any person. I think for the great leader, first of all, let's start with this, that it's very hard to interview people, okay? Everyone can be fooled, me, including me. Everyone, yes, I think I know people quite well, but still there's some people that can show you the best way on the interview, and next time it can be gone.
Yeah.
But two things. First, you have to do your best. I always try to meet people in person. These Zoom interviews, it sometimes if it's a role is okay, you can risk it, but when you meet person in life, it's completely different. So I would always encourage live meetings, shake hand, sit down for 15 minutes. You can learn so much more for a person than talking to the Zoom, even on the video call. Yeah. It's so much different. And the second, of course, even if you meet someone for a couple of times, you do never make a decision one time because, one time you can be in a good mood or in a bad mood. If you don't like it, it's one time it's gone. But if you like someone, I would do 2 or 3 times. And I always like to maybe, show them to do some small task. Because sometimes people can talk a lot, but they will go into a task. And third, final, what I would suggest, like what I do, like if you make a mistake, like going back to your question, if you make a mistake, I think you have to, let it go. The biggest mistake for leaders, they know they made a mistake, but because they think they're so smart, they don't want to admit it and just keep dragging this person. And the person is in the wrong place, obviously, and you're getting the damage as a company, but still, because you don't want to show your employees or show your team, that you made a mistake, you just cannot allow yourself. And then finally, maybe in 2-3 years, the person still leaves because it's not a good fit. So I think the biggest thing for if you find a mistake, you have to just admit it and just deal with it immediately, because more you drag it, it's going to be bad for that person, first of all, and for the whole company. So I think, I mean, me, I try to, if I find a mistake, I try to admit it and I try to let it go. And again, as we said in the beginning, I think the smartest way to manage companies for any CEO, founder, leader is to try to bring the best talent. So this is your job. My job, the biggest job I have right now, is try to bring best talent to SPRIBE's team.
If we're to apply these principles to SPRIBE, to Aviator and Broadway, looking ahead, as we say, we've in previous interviews we talked about the journey here, we talked about the present. For the future, and everything that you talked about in terms of leadership, what are you aiming to do to maintain your position? But as we say, maintaining isn't enough. You still want to grow. You still want to succeed.
I agree with you because it's again like we talked about like BlackBerry, for example. Like we talked about Nokia. The examples that companies were so big, and there's many. Kodak, for example. Kodak. Everyone had Kodak. People were just going crazy, but Kodak could not switch. And where is Kodak now? So it's like idea is like when you achieve the success. This is my main objective. Besides bringing the talent, is to not to lose the sense to reality. And even when you're successful, you cannot just assume that it's going to last forever. There's millions of examples when companies go bankrupt just because they think they're too cool. They think there's too. Look at the GoPro, by the way. I was reading the other day their stock, their value, dropped 90%. GoPro was everyone you had GoPro. Look what they are now. Because what happened with GoPro, they didn't want to adapt. They tried two different ideas of businesses. They wanted to do a competitor for YouTube, and then they did this, and then now every cell phone has a better camera now. So you have to adapt now. And that's why their stock price plummeted 90%.
Yeah,
because so they had, I think, like when they did IPO, they had 11 billion. Now they worth 300 million. So this is a great example. So here at SPRIBE, we take it very seriously because we are a young company. We're only 6 years old, and we're such a big company. So we have to keep it up and not to enjoy. Of course, you have to enjoy the life. It's a big thing, enjoying life. But you need to, as a company, we need to make our service better for our players, bring new products, which we talked about, and we can talk about these new products, and try to create the value. This is the biggest thing, because your customers, if you create, like we have now 5,000 operators, right? So why would we have 5,000 operators if we don't create the value for them? You know why? They love us, but because we build the value for them. They make a business on us, we make a business with them, and we both make great things together. So this is if we don't build the value, then it's, any company, big company can go down. So yeah, I mean, you have to not to lose the touch with the reality and just try to build the value for your partners.
On that note, a final question. Let's say, I want to say the next Aviator, but that's not quite right. Let's say a new company comes along, whatever the product is, whether it's a live casino, another crash game, anything, and they take a similar journey. They become the next big thing. What does SPRIBE do when there is a new but as we say, there's innovation in Israel all the time. There will be someone who at some point steps up. Does your strategy change? Or as you say, if you continue to build the value, will that be enough?
It's interesting question, because like I always think, like there's many companies try to copy SPRIBE, copy in not very ethical way. Sometimes they make exact same copy with the same music. They try to sell it, but technologically they're very behind. Or they copy similar games. They make like make a similar name, or similar. It looks like Aviator. The one thing is that I strongly believe that there will be something new coming up, because there is no way that everything was invented, right? I mean, like before Aviator, people thought everything was invented, but it was not true. 6 years ago, no one was playing crash games. Now everyone, like 20% of casinos revenue, imagine 30% sometimes are just coming from Aviator. Just whole casinos revenue. It's crazy, right? I mean, no one would believe that before. So I think that there will be something new. We are trying to build something new. There were some new games that has some tractions now, looking similar like Crash, and we try to also follow the market in a to see what's happening, but we don't want to copy a market because we're SPRIBE. We are the most creative company, one of the most creative companies, and we are working on something right now as we speak to do the next big thing also. And it's not going to be easy, obviously, because it's a journey. But in short, I think there are going to be more companies coming in the future.
Yeah. Well, David, thanks very much for your time as always. Across all the interviews we've done this year, it's been a pleasure, and good luck keeping that growth.
Thank you so much.